that you have to go do, stuff that you don't want to do. There are doctors out there that are doing it right. So this is Launch. I'm sure you guys have checked it out. We're here to change the world, right? As chiropractors, these guys are here to basically grassroots, get you guys, and me, of course, ready to practice right from the get-go. My favorite quote of theirs is, there is no starvation period when we finish school. You can graduate and then get after and start seeing patients, making money to keep your doors open and live a good life. So I'm just going to introduce everybody, and then they're going to start off by telling their stories, and then we'll get into it from there. That sound good? There's water, there's coffee, there's refreshments back there. Feel free to get up and get that stuff, whatever you need. The bathroom is back to the left near the front. If you guys need to get that, raise your hand. Michael, excuse you. So this is Dr. Michael. I don't know how you say your last name.
You don't even have to say it. Viscarelli.
Viscarelli, yeah. So he practices in Colorado, super high volume office. Loves what he does. This is Dr. Jeremy Hess, the brainchild of this all. Yeah. So
child
is the one. And this is Dr. Zeus. He practices in Dallas, Texas. And this is Dr. Jake, and you're in Washington. And you're the newest one out of them all, right? Just a couple months.
Yep.
Graduated, and he's been out 14 or 15 years.
No, we'll start off on that, I guess. Thanks.
Yeah, and then you both are just a couple years, right? You're 5-ish? Really? You don't. 2.5, and then you're 2.
Yeah,
we're
years as well.
Yeah. So they're doing it, making money, seeing people just a couple months and a couple years out of practice. So without further ado.
Thanks, bud.
Welcome.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Good. Well, hey, listen, we are so excited to be here. My name is, like Chris said, Dr. Jeremy Hess, and I'll kick us off. We're just going to tell our stories because we know a couple people here. There's a couple of Life West. If you're from Life West, raise your hands. Life West is here, so that's good. Thank you for coming down. There's a couple-hour drive. So it's the last time we're going to talk to you. So that way, we can, we believe relationships are built on trust, right? And so we just want to do a little relation with you because it's kind of like, where are you guys from? What's your background? Why should you even be here listening to us tonight? So as Chris said, I'm the older guy in the room. I'll be 40 this year. I've actually been out in practice for 15 years. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and been there. My wife's an amazing chiropractor. We're both in the office. I have 2 lovely kiddos, and it's just we just love chiropractic. Yeah. And we eat, breathe, and sleep chiropractic, and that's our story. But over the years, we just kept distilling things down, to be better and better and better. And when I graduated, and I knew what chiropractic was in the sense that I loved it. I was in the green books. I went to DE. I just really got connected, and I understood it to a point that I thought I needed to, or I was still growing. And what had happened in practice, I started a practice, and we had gotten stuck, or I actually graduated first, and Amanda, she graduated about 3 years after me. We're both life grads. And you were serving away, and we had a great practice, but we kind of got stuck, and we're going to talk a lot about numbers tonight, like how many we're seeing practice, okay? Now, I just want to preface tonight's conversation with, so whatever the number is, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that the number does represent lives, right? And the lives represent people, right? And people represent the communities, and that ultimately represents how much chiropractic is actually changing the community, removing interference and letting people function at a higher potential, right? All agree with that? So don't get caught up in the numbers. We mentioned this number, that number, that number. Just know that our goal is to ultimately, and my goal when I was in practice, and that's where my story comes in, is I knew I had these hands. God bless me, these hands. I had a big vision of chiropractic, but I was like, I couldn't reach it. You know what I mean? So here, my vision was up here, but I couldn't attain it. I couldn't reach it. So for about 5 years in practice, I'll use the term stuck. I was stuck at about 150 visits a week, and it was a good practice. It was chiropractic. We saw kids. We had fun. We were, 150 visits or so a week. We made a living, right? We're paying, at that point, we're paying off some of our student loans. Amanda, my wife, joined the practice about 3 years after I was in, and within 2 months, she got to 150 visits, right? Because I knew how to get to 150 visits. It was like,
she's the brains.
Yeah, she's definitely brains
and the body.
Yes, and the body. So I'm just a child. So long story short is that just through a course of events, And through seeking people out and prayer, we started to put, thought leaders and mentors in our lives that helped us see the bigger picture. So then in that 6th, 7th, 8th year, we just started to grow in volume, 300, 400, 500, 600, 800. And then for the last almost 6 years now, we've been consistently over 1,000 visits a week in our office. Okay. Now, our area by no means is a wealthy area. Sometimes you come out of school, it's like, I want to practice in the area.
We need you to say amen there, bro. Everybody knows it's the hood.
So, definitely. I live in South Atlanta. It's definitely a nice area, but by no means is it a wealthy area. Sometimes when you're thinking about where to practice, you're thinking, oh, I want to be in like the $110,000 annual income area, that kind of place. And there are places like that out there. Stockbridge, where I'm at, it's $110 a year. It's about a mid-50s annual household income. Decent, right? Yeah. So I think it's a little above the national average, but by no means is it wealthy. So I say that because I want to let you know that you can do an amazing practice anywhere. So, and again, to preface this, what we're going to explain is the type of practice that we all are shooting at, and what we believe that will revolutionize chiropractic is each of us seeing as many people as possible, right? And maybe that's 300 or 400 visits per year, maybe it's 5 or 6, whatever it is. I just believe that we can do more than what's average. And if you don't know the average right now, the average practice sees about 80 visits a week. 80 visits a week, okay? And we're going to talk about that tonight we're going to look at some numbers and crunch that down, and about how that number, as we crunch it down, you're going to see it's kind of hard to have that number in chiropractic and really.
It just came out with the Department of Labor that showed that the average chiropractor makes $62,000 a year. So we're gonna dive into that, and that only 10% of students, less than 10% of students exiting school will start their own practice. Less than 10% of students.
So as a course member, because I'm about 40 minutes from Life University in Marietta, we just started having, we started doing bigger things. The students started hearing, so students were like, man, started making the drive. So about 5 or 6 years ago, people started making the drive. They started interning, just plugging in as much as possible, and that's where this guy plugged in about 4 years ago in our practice, three years ago. So the cool thing is this: these guys here, right? So me, it's like, so some of you, it's like 15 years. It's like kind of almost dinosaurish. I mean, it's like it's hard to relate. It's like 15 years of practice, right? So less than 2 years in practice, about 3. This guy's been 2 months in practice, right? So these guys were sitting in your seats not long ago. Jake graduated in October. So barely graduated. Yeah, barely graduated. Barely graduated as valedictorian's class. So,
but it's at Palmer, so it's a low bar.
So that's kind of how I fit. That's how I fit in the piece of the puzzle. Is that these guys just started coming through the practice, and we started to teach them that there's a better way, that you can be successful, that you can graduate prepared, you can actually have, like Chris said, no starvation period. You can actually graduate and have money in the bank the first week. The bills are going to come. I'll let these guys talk about the bills coming, because me, it's a long. The bills were different 15 years ago. The student loans were different. I don't know how LACC is, but Life College, the tuition was 50% of what it was 15 years ago. It was like a lot less. So I know the tuition's doubled since I graduated chiropractic school. So these guys jumped in. They learned the procedures. They learned the methods, and they just are doing bigger things than I even did. And I'll let you take up.
So I graduated from Life University in 2010. Dr. Zeus and I graduated together. I had a delay in school. I actually, when I started school, I let one guy that I really liked very much, that I played sports with, said to me, hey man, C for chiropractic, right? Has anyone ever heard that before? Right? So it's the most you could ever adopt into your life. You got to be very careful what you let people impart into your life. I'm telling you this from personal experience. You need to protect yourself, right, and make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to speak life into your life. And so this guy told me C for chiropractic, so I'm a follower in that respect. So I'm like, I can do a C. So I got C's, and when you shoot for C's and you miss, what do you get? You get D's, which are actually F's, right? You guys can't get D's in your chiropractic school, can you? You can, and they're passing. Really?
For this for X-ray classes, you can't get a D.
Okay, for certain classes. Okay, so. Sorry guys, you're the new Palmer. No, I'm just kidding. There's no way that could ever happen. So you're gonna find out that I'm seldomly serious, but I tell the truth. And I do cuss a little bit. They say people that statistically cuss are more trustworthy. So
Yeah, live longer.
Shit. Okay. So listen. I'm sorry. I apologize. So I'll cuss a little bit. I hope not to offend anyone. Okay. So I wasn't talking about you because I don't care. So I was failing some classes, and I got put on probation. And when you're on probation and you fail, what happens? Yeah, you're supposed to get the yank, right? And so I was getting married to my wife, Tara, who is not a chiropractor. And she was courting me for many years as I was letting her try out for the title. And so she won, right? And so we got married. And I was on my honeymoon coming back from Aruba, and got an email that I had failed one of my classes and that I was expelled from school. And so that was like when the storm came, right? And I was like, holy cow, I'm midway through school. I love chiropractic, right? I started in DE. I had a chiropractic friend that his dad used to come into town and take us to DE and pay for it. It's back in the day when they used to charge like $100 for a student to attend. He used to pay. I mean, that's a huge, looking back, that's a huge deal and what a blessing because it imparted that principle into my life. And so I knew that I loved chiropractic, but I was off purpose, right? And I wasn't focused. I had never failed at anything in my life, anything. I never failed at anything. And so I didn't, a lot of times when that happens, and people haven't failed at anything, when the first failure comes, oftentimes that folds you. You know what I mean? It folds a lot of people, right? And so you have that check at that moment as to what you're going to do, what action you're going to take. You're going to fold up shop. You're going to take that failure and pursue other things because it does keep in your mind. I'm like, what other options do I have? Not like options to pursue success in chiropractic. What else could I be successful in because this door's closing, right? And so I chose at that moment that I was going to come back. I'm like, I'm going to appeal this thing. Screw Life University. I'm the man. I'm going to get it. And they denied it. And I was like, damn, because I've got debt, I've got a new wife, I've got responsibilities, I got history, I've got shame, I've got regret, right? All those things start to creep in. And I said, no, I'm not going to go quietly. And so I pursued other options, and I got an acceptance with contingencies. Which meant that I had to take one class a quarter and pass it with a perfect score with an A, not a perfect score with an A, which when you're getting Fs, that was a perfect score. And I had to do that every single quarter until I got my GPA back up over a 3.0. Well, like you guys know, it's really easy to drop your bank account down to the red, and it's much more difficult to raise it back up, right? You're like, man, I can get those shoes. Damn. You know what I mean? I got them, but then it's like, man, I need to make rent. How do I get that money back into that account? So that's what it was for me. And so, but I was committed, and I was back on purpose. And so I got, can you shut off the vibration? Because I think you keep texting during this. And so I got back in, and I never looked back. And so then I chose to make sure that my failures were going to be within school and not within practice, right? Unfortunately, maybe even some of us in this room, our failures are going to take place in practice. Some of you guys are going to fly through school, get great grades, look really good, hit the gym, be tan, have nice clothes, and all these things, and never fail at anything. Your failure may come in practice, and some of you guys are going to fold up. And some of our colleagues are going to, right? Some of the people who go to school with. And that's a very sad thing because we all come into school, right, with all this passion and piss and vinegar, you know what I mean? Like we're just ready to rock and roll. And then unfortunately, some of us aren't going to succeed in practice. There's a statistic right now that Dr. Jim Tempo and his group released that it was 60% of the chiropractic profession is 3 months from bankruptcy. Talk about living close to the edge, right? I mean, that's like C for chiropractic, right? That's C for chiropractic, right? But in business, right? And so for me, I made sure that there was not a chance that I was going to falter in practice. And so I sought out a mentor. I got with Dr. Jeremy and his wife, Amanda. I didn't get with Amanda, but just once. So I'm really close to his wife.
Where you been then?
Where you going? That's funny. That's funny. That was funny.
I don't think it was bad anymore.
My wife's 7 months pregnant. I'm trying to do that. She's so cute. She's got these little prego bellies. So she's super cute, but she's back home. She typically travels with me all the time, but we get her this weekend off. So we start moving forward. We start learning everything we can to make sure that we left our failures in the past and we're striving towards success. So my wife and I moved to Golden, Colorado, which is just west of Denver, about 15 minutes. And you guys always know this. I don't even know any of you in this room. We have a 100% open door policy. You guys can come anytime you want. You can look through the drawers, you can look through the cabinets, you can hang out, you can look through the checkbook, whatever you want, it's yours if it helps you be more successful in practice. Because for me, it does not serve me to have a bunch of crap bag chiropractors in the profession. I mean, if I can just be honest, okay? And you're gonna see that when you come out, you're gonna be like embarrassed as to what's around you and what people come in and tell you that their experience was at other places. So we hit the ground running. We put 174 new practice members on the books our first week. That's how hard we worked. We ended up seeing 120 new practice members come through the doors in our first 5 days of practice, and 178 total visits with adjustments. We grew our practice in 9 months to be over 1,000 visits a week, which we were told was the fastest growing practice in chiropractic history. Whether that's true or not, even if it's considered close to it, cool. You know what I mean? I could really care less because no one really gives any work for that. Especially your wife, she's just like, keep working. It's like the rest of her. And so we hit 1,300 visits a week by our 12th month in practice. And so our practice blew up. But it's because our shoulders could carry it, because we're fully prepared and we're going to leave the failures in the past and just strive towards success. And today we're just under 2 years in practice. We're a $1 million practice, cash practice. We're, I would say 98-ish% of our collections are pure cash. Some out-of-network benefits pay a little bit in Colorado, so those less than people that are coming in, but it's very little. We're 75% or more paid in full for care. So people pay per visit, right? Each visit has a monetary value. But they can either, in our practice, pay that monetary value monthly or up front and receive a little bit of a discount. And over 75% of our people pay up front. And so they're going to talk to you about those sort of numbers. And so people are just like slapping down thousands of dollars in front of you to commit to care for their corrective care phase, right? And then their maintenance phases after that. And so there's something about that that's very unique in chiropractic, I'd say. And I think that you guys would agree. That shows that level of value that's being created through the educational process and through the clarity of our message. We're right in the mid 30% pediatrics. You know, I think it was like Wednesday, I saw 42 kids on a Wednesday, which was really freaking awesome. I mean, everybody loves kids, right? Who wants to see kids in practice, right? Who wants to have a cash practice, right? I mean, yeah, no one's like, I don't want to see freaking kids, they stink. And they're like, no, I want to rely upon insurance that denies claims all the time and I make no money. No, everybody wants cash practices and everybody wants to see kids. And so we're going to talk to you about that tonight, and how you can do that, because it doesn't just happen. People don't just walk in there like, yeah, I pay $700 a month for my family's benefit package through United Healthcare, but I'm perfectly comfortable with giving you $4,200 right now for my family plan. No, I mean, it doesn't happen just like that. You know, they're not like, yeah, you know, thank you. I'm glad that you're 2 months into practice, Dr. Jake, and that you say I should trust you with my kids. Sure, just adjust each and every one of them. And I know this one's 5 weeks old. You know what I mean? But yeah, do chiropractic on it, because that's normal to me. No, it's not, right? So I mean, it's like, how do you take them from there thinking like, there's no way I'm letting you touch my kid, you perv, and take you all right? You're not a perv, I'm just kidding. So like, but take you from there to being all under care for the rest of their lives, and that's the goal, right? You know what I mean? Is to have them under care the rest of their lives, not because they need chiropractic care, because once they start, they have to keep going. It's because it's a wise decision for their life and their family's future. And so that's what we're here for, to tell you guys, you know what? Failure can lead to extreme success, but failure, lack of failure, can lead to huge failure in practice. And our goal is to eliminate those options for you, to get you guys kind of get some realistic thoughts in your mind so that you guys can be uber successful in practice. These guys here, Dr. Zeus and I, his name's Cornell Cornish out of Dallas, Texas. We graduated together, and Dr. Zeus had a totally different path in life. He was an excellent student. He was an alpha male, as you can tell. This is part of our affirmative action plan. And so,
I was going to school.
So he's our token black man, and but he's one of the largest chiropractic centers in the state of Texas.
There we go. We have two now.
Oh, and so that's
right on time.
Yeah,
we never met it before.
Yeah. And Dr. Jake out of Palmer in Iowa, they're going to share their story. But what I wanted to say to you guys was that these guys have taken totally different paths and seen totally different successes. But the truth is that they're on their way in such an amazing fashion to uber success in practice. Who wants to go next? Dr. Zeus, you want to go next?
I think they want to hear from the rock star.
No, they want to hear from you.
I go by Dr. Zeus. I'm Dr. Cornell Cornish, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm practicing currently with my wife, Dr. Candy Cornish in Dallas, Texas. We have 2 practices. We just opened the practice about, I think this week finished week 7. Our second practice down in DeSoto, Texas. Our first practice down in Dallas, Texas, about 4 minutes from downtown, so we're like right in the middle of the city. Now I'm gonna go into a little bit detail later, but I graduated with Dr. Michael Viscarelli. However, we were really good friends, and I didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were given to him. The same was given to me by being mentored by Dr. Hess. A little bit, maybe 10 to 20%. And when I graduated, they paid. So I was one of those people that, with technique, I'm gonna perfect. So I was at all the seminars, and talk about that later. But I didn't do what needed to be done to prepare for success. So we hung together, we studied together, we studied for boards together, and the last 6 months of school, I freaked out and I joined a management company. Now that management company promised me a Maserati, a ranch, and they also told me that when I signed the dotted line, it was going to cost me $300,000 to buy that practice back, and every month I had to give them 50% of my gross income. So moved out to Colorado. I'm from New Orleans, so I like the heat, so today was great for me. I just didn't know it was this hot. Should have had my shorts on, you can see the bird eggs. So I moved my wife and my, brand new baby girl, Tatum, to Colorado Springs, Colorado. And, boy, I hate the cold. And, I realized that wasn't for me. That's not what I wanted to do, but I wasn't prepared. So eventually I got out of the contract and I moved to Dallas, Texas. And, we started our practice and it showed, it showed. So long story short, you surround yourself with people that's on your level. And we were just talking today in the car that I have some friends back in Dallas that I hang out with, but they're 9 to 5s, you know what I mean? They get off at 5 o'clock on Friday and they're ready to just chill and hang out. And, I have a screening Saturday morning and a talk Saturday evening and another event Saturday night. So I can't hang out and drink limeritas and stuff like that, right? So you have to surround. It's like a Budweiser beer.
You don't have to be all around.
Yeah. So then, and I can't, smoke weed, snort coke on the weekend. But
We should sell our stash.
I brought that with me.
But October will be 3 years into practice for my wife and I, and we're gearing up to looking for our third location for our third practice. So long story short, I eventually got the big idea. So that's one of the reasons why we're here today. So you guys don't follow. You want to follow the Pat Michael and the Pat Dr. Jake I'm going to share with you, but not the one that I went on. And that's one of the big reasons I'm here, because this weekend, my wife's out of town on a girls' trip, and I'm supposed to be sitting home with my beautiful kids, but we're here with you, and it's a sacrifice, but we need to be here. You guys need to hear the message that we all want to share with you, but especially the one that I'm going to share with you, because there was a point in time I didn't even have a cell phone on, and I was in practice. You don't want to be like that. And just imagine, no cell phone, right? You all be stuck, right? You don't know anybody's number by heart. You don't know how to get around Los Angeles. And so we're thankful to be here. I'm really thankful to be here. We all are thankful, but I'm really thankful to be here to just share with you guys. And I'm going to pass the torch to Dr. Jake. And but Dr. Jake's in Washington, and he's doing amazing things. And if you blink while he's talking, I'll want you.
It's gonna be hard not to do. I talk really slow.
Yeah, he does. I mean, guys, don't mistake how slow he is. That's a 4.0 valedictorian right there. Even though he sounds retarded.
Yeah. So yeah, I do have really bad voice, right? I do. And so I've been working on my inflections when I do my doctorate report, and still not very good. But yeah, I'm Dr. Jake Crott, and I'm from Washington State, or we used to call it Washington. In Georgia, if you say Washington, I think you're from D.C. I grew up in Eastern Washington, which is the desert part of the state. I don't know if anybody from Washington.
Oh, really? That's right, Tennille.
Cool.
Yeah,
Where are you from?
sweet.
Olympia.
Oh, so I'm from Ritzville, which is by Spokane. So a town of like 1,200 people in the middle of the desert. NASA actually came when I was in grade school and did like rover testing because it's the same as Mars. Yeah, it's a big deal. Basically, if we're in the middle of nowhere, my dad, he's a chiropractor. He still is, right? He's been practicing for, I think my brother's 20, he's almost 30 years now in that same town. And my grandpa was a chiropractor. He's dead now, but he was a chiropractor. My uncle's a chiropractor in Italy. 3 other great, I was the 9th person in my family to go to Palmer College, which is really cool. So I grew up in an extreme chiropractic bubble.
Anybody here have a chiropractic family?
You guys can talk about it.
To be proud of it. I used to be embarrassed of it, I really did, but you should really be proud of it. It's really a cool thing. And so I grew up in this really severe chiropractic bubble, wasn't vaccinated. They literally, in my hometown, they did vaccinations at school. I don't know if I ever told you that. Yeah, and they would like line us up like the military or something. And me and my brother and my sister would go out to recess by ourselves while the rest of the school got vaccinated. I didn't know any different. I thought it was like, oh, these kids are weird. Vaccinations make you weird.
And here, I would have thought for sure you were vaccinated.
Exactly. All my mental.
Lost it.
So I went to chiropractic school, and I knew nothing except chiropractic, principled chiropractic, and I had no idea that all this other stuff was out there. Right? I had no idea students were confused. I started getting confused myself. Right? I had my vision for practice was my dad sees about 120, 130 people a week. He has for 20-some years consecutively. Never goes up, never goes down. He stays exactly the same. He plays golf on Wednesday afternoon, Friday afternoon, Sunday. He goes to Lions Club. He's like this small town thing, right? And that was cool. He loves it, right? So that's what I thought I was going to do. Literally everybody in my family does the same thing. Then I got hooked up with these guys when I was early in school at Palmer, and literally like blew my mind off of what chiropractic was, right? And what it could do, and how many people you could really see, right? If you just did talk so much. Michael talks a lot, right?
I don't know how I see it.
Yeah, I have no idea either. And I have to go over that in my doctor's report about not talking. But, you know, I had no idea how many people you could actually help and actually serve. And, you know, just jumping forward, I'm going to talk a little bit more exactly what I do in my office later. But, you know, my dad couldn't be more proud of me now. You know, I'm seeing twice as many people as he is 11 weeks into practice, and he's 30 years into practice. And it's not because I'm special, right? Yeah, I had a 4.0 GPA at Palmer. What do you do? Right? I actually, the only reason why I did it, okay, so I'm smart, where I can like memorize stuff, just because my wife made me. And so, I don't think she's watching, but she made me, and I actually got like 20-some thousand in scholarships.
Wow.
That's really the only reason.
Good for you, man.
So
I
really,
wish I could have just picked to do that. I was a professional athlete because I just you know, that's a hero.
And so, and don't feel bad, because these guys always make fun of people that like get good grades and stuff. Inferiority complexes and all this stuff, but really it's okay. But anyways, I'm really off track. I do strict Gonstead in my office. Down scope. Does anybody even know what Gonstead is? They teach that at LACC. Is anybody planning on doing it? Good. Hooray, yeah. Well, let me tell you, you can absolutely do Gonstead, have a high volume office. Like there's this misconception that it takes 20 minutes to do a Gonstead adjustment. It's not, right? I'm seeing just under 300, like 290 people a week now. In 11 weeks, honestly, my head's basically spinning, my eyes are coming out. I've done like 5 straight weeks with no days off. doing events every single day. I have a 2-year-old son. My wife works with me in the office. We have 2 full-time staff and a part-time staff now. This fast because we were going crazy, gangbusters, and we needed help, right? And we're completely cashed right now. We actually do. We accept insurance. We have not billed any insurance. Like, that's because I haven't done the paperwork. But my collections are 100% cash right now, and we just we're at like 99,000 something. So just at $100,000 cash collections in 11 weeks, which I think is pretty. We saw 161 people our first week, and
I've never heard of that.
And we didn't do anything special. We just did what these guys told me to do. I actually, in Palmer, call it precepting, peaking, whatever. I don't know what you guys call it. If you go to somebody's office.
You guys got to hear where you go.
Yeah,
That's right.
Preceptorship?
Okay.
Wow, cool. Preceptorship. I'm like in the majority.
Yeah.
No,
So I precepted in Dr. Hess's office, which was a total God thing. It's a really long story. And I just copied everything. It's pretty simple. And I just adjust people, and they get better, and I know how to tell the chiropractic story. I know how to do it effectively, and I know how to do it quickly, and I know how to get people to get interfered, and I'll talk about families, and then I'm going to talk about adjusting kids. Yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Yeah, that's good. So, we just believe that the launch program is all about, rallying students, us coming together, and being prepared, being successful, and graduating, and opening up practices where we can actually change our communities, right? And all of us doing as much as we possibly believe we can with our own hands, and in our communities, and just being that leader that position ourselves as that person who brings health to the community by removing interference, by really setting families free and the kids free, and just letting them live, like Michael said, a wise decision, letting them live healthy lives, and doing it with clarity and boldness and confidence, right? So you can be profitable and really do as much as you want. So that's where launch comes from, because how each one of you here graduate, how you become in your practices eventually becomes a reflection of chiropractic. That's right. Right. And unfortunately, if you look around, a lot of different places, chiropractic isn't a good reflection of what we believe it should be. Each of us here have different belief systems of what chiropractic maybe should and shouldn't be, but we really distill it down what chiropractic is. Chiropractic is what? It's a chiropractic adjustment, right? And not that you can't do other things, but that's the core. But the core we want to do is we want to find subluxation, adjust it, remove it, release interference, let the body heal itself from where? From above down, inside out. I mean, that's the core. That's what we want to do. So it doesn't mean you can't do nutritional talk. Doesn't mean you can't. Don't get me wrong. But so if we can all understand that core and go out and be successful doing it, then we can literally change chiropractic. Right? Then we can take back our beloved profession, and and getting that in healthcare have that rightful place that chiropractic should be, right? And because honestly, the communities out there, the people out there, they're confused about what we do, right? Y'all feel like they're a little confused about what we do, and it's interesting. It's like, well, the people are confused about what we do. The people are confused about what we do, not because they're confused. Why are they confused? Because we're confused. We're confused about what we do. So we just believe that if we can bring it together and help each one of you. I look at you guys, and it's funny. It's like, man, I want to do big things in chiropractic. I want to change chiropractic. I want to do the greatest place you can change chiropractic is right now as a student. Because when you're practice, man, it's like people are students like, man, something. When you're not practice, like mortgages, the rents, the kids, all these different things. It's like, man, you don't have time to do as much. You got your practice, you got your baby, right? Now, it's like some of you I know, thankfully, maybe you saw this and you brought a person here, right? So, if you get the bigger idea about what you want to do in your practice and the confidence and clarity, right? And you're inspired about that, and then you can drag some other students with you to get inspired too, and to have a bigger vision of what's possible. Let's say you do that to 5 other chiropractors. Well, now you've essentially changed 5 other future communities and what they stand for. Does that make sense? So you can make a lot of change right now in chiropractic. That's why we're speaking to students and not at the hotel down the street to doctors charging $395 for the weekend. Because the stuff we're gonna go over today, and we're gonna get more in depth here tonight. So to paint the picture tonight, we're going to just share some things about, Dr. Jake's going to share about pediatrics here. Zeus is going to share about community and chiropractic. He's going to share about chiropractic, and it's going to overlap some. And then we're going to start tonight. We're going to start breaking down a lot of numbers and talk about things maybe that you don't know that you don't know, right? And then tomorrow morning we're going to come back and we're going to do like a mastermind session where you guys can ask any questions you want. Yeah. And one of the things that we've always done, myself and my wife, is we've always been an open book. Yeah. It's like, man, you want to talk, man, open up. I'll sit here. I'll sit down and show you.
We used to sit there and he'd have me open his mail. Because I mean, it's like every day it was like this much mail. From they used to be a bigger insurance state, so it's like opening insurance checks and seeing that you're getting like a 17-cent check for like $600 worth of service. You know what I mean? Like that zero. I was like, why'd they even send you a zeroed out check? It cost them more to send it than the value of the check. You know what I mean? But just that revelation from that experience. And then he'd go through his credit card statements with me, and he's like, just making sure all the charges line up. He's just showing us everything. You know what I mean? And it was like, man, you had to see that, and you see all the expenses. You just see, playing golf 3 times a week, but all the expenses and the cost of doing this properly. You know what I mean? And so we go back and forth. And so Launch was created to kind of answer some of the questions and maybe shed some light on some of the unknowns that you may have, and to rally students across the nation. So yes, we have like 30 people in here now, but back on the East Coast, when we go to like Palmer, and we have 100 to 200 students in the room. When we go to Life University, 300 to 400 students in the room. When we go to Parker, there's 700 people in the room. And you know what I mean? It's like there's a movement taking place right now, because he was going through all of his friends that are part of our other program, our program that's all for students that is called the Jumpstart program, take it from the seats of school to the streets of your community in 100% excellence, 100% certainty, and 100% success right out of school, so he can do what he did, because that's what he followed. He's telling me about all his friends that are in the program, and all these kids are seeing 150, 200, 200 plus in their first months of practice, collecting tens of thousands of dollars in cash. It'll be very, very quickly that you'll start to forget about all the weight of student loans.
Yeah, it's funny.
From all the sacrifice in the classroom.
It's from one of the guys who, it's like, man, he's bummed because he only saw like 86 people his first week.
Who'd like to see 86 people their first week?
He's like,
yeah, right on. Me too, right? I mean, me too.
Because first week out, he's kind of bummed. He's, low higher expectations.
Why? Because you're comparing yourself to this guy.
He wanted to break 100 visits, saw 86, but remember, we just said, what's the average practice fee?
Yeah.
So he's bummed that he's already, got a large average practice first week of practice, But that's because, when you prepare and you have clarity, you understand that what's possible.
So our thing here is that we want to be completely chill with you guys. Just hang out with you guys, answer some questions, give you guys some hope, not fear, right? But sometimes fear can creep in when you start to realize how big of a bear this is and all the things that you really may not know or that you may need to start preparing for. But I want to ask this question as we proceed. Who here would like to open their own practice? Okay, that's awesome. It's very encouraging. Are you guys, are there any spouses here? There's spouses here. Everyone's a DC student here. Oh, you guys are DCs? You guys all DCs. So, spouses here. Okay. So
some of you may not know yet. Yeah. Some of you are like 37.
And that's perfectly fine.
There's 10 tries at LACC, right? 5 tries and down.
It's what terms, right?
Who's 5? Is it terms or tries?
Terms.
Try 5. Term
5 and under.
Term 5 and under.
Thank you.
I'll play through this. Just play through this. Is it called try?
Holy crap. Who's 5 terms or under? 5th term or under? Okay.
You
don't even have to ask the one above. Who's above? Okay. Because it's so the point is this: is that we want, even if you're thinking, I think I'd like to do that and open my own practice, the best bet is this: is to fully prepare to be able to do so and then choose whether you don't want to, versus want to and not done the work in order to do so, and then you get backed in the corner. And that's when you sign on the dotted line with no qualification necessary to say, hey, do you want my $300,000, my $400,000 franchise? Sign on the dotted line, right? Because of lack and fear. We want you guys to be fully equipped to choose to pursue your sole purpose. And if your sole purpose is to be an associate, independent contractor, a franchisee, whatever, then pursue that. But do it at full preparation. That's our goal. And so Launch is touring the nation of all the schools. I told him I was going to go on an Alaskan cruise this year. I'm just take the wife and have a lot of sex and stuff. And so she's not here. I can say whatever the hell I want. Love you, sweetie. Why do I like yellow on there? Did I drink that much espresso today? I drink that much espresso today. Okay. So listen. So he goes, oh, how? Where? When? I've got your calendar. We're booked everywhere all over the nation because we're going to NYCC. We're at LACC right now. We were just at Life West. We're going to Logan. We're going to Life University, back to Palmer, back to Parker, and we're just boom, boom, Palmer West, Palmer South, Sherman. They want us to come out to Palmer West. I mean, it's just like we're going to the schools because we want people to know that they can do it if they want to. And then it's going to culminate with one major conference a year for young students, young dogs, and young at heart that want to come together and synergize and mastermind, find out how we can be super creative and innovative in reaching our communities with 100% certainty and total excellence. Because I'll tell you what, when you get out in the communities, and we'll all talk about this tonight in some capacity, it sucks when you find out how unexcellent or how horrible our professions be represented just down the street from you. And you know, our goal and one of our business strategies is to give people an exit strategy in chiropractic, to buy them out and say, get the hell out, go do something else, go work at Home Depot. We'll take your files, we'll reactivate them in an excellent manner, re-educate them on what the big idea of chiropractic is, and get their families under care. And then get the riffraff out of the profession, right? The people that misrepresent who we are and what we stand for, what we believe, what we feel that the community should opt into for the rest of their lives. Does that make sense? And so, but you can't do that if you're 3 months from bankruptcy. Right on. So we're going to address some money things. We're going to address some pediatric stuff. We're going to address some educational stuff. We're going to address things because at the end of the day, if you want to open your own practice, you're not just a healthcare provider, but you're an entrepreneur. And so we need to get over the fears of being an entrepreneur, okay, and start addressing those things so that you guys can be successful.
Awesome. Cool? Yep.
Now, can I go out back while they talk? Because I don't really want to listen.
Yep.
Cool.
Back, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love listening.
All right. We're going to start with Dr. Jake.
Dr. Jake's going to
introduce him. And it's an honor to have, as God would have it, this guy from Palmer found his way to South Atlanta. Had quite an experience with it. It was a lot of fun. And, you know, you heard about Jake, you know, about returning his class, serving at a high level, and, you know, you already heard some of the things. He's right under, 11 weeks in practice?
11 weeks, just finished my 11th.
So 12 weeks in practice, right just about 300 visits a week. Amazing. Serving at a high level in a community, and there's lots of other covers. You know, talk about this. You heard his collection, right? You repeat it, right? I heard $99,000 in 11 weeks of practice, right? I mean,
he's buying dinner.
Yeah.
I can't wait, dude.
Much more
laying lobster tail done.
Much more than any of us have ever done. One of the goals of the launch is to have students go bigger and better than we did, and that's how we can actually change this thing called chiropractic. So I'm gonna give the floor to you. Talk about pediatrics tonight. Great pick.
Yeah, this is my son right here, Jason. He's 2. Just turned 2 over Easter. We do fake adjustments every night. He wants to be. So Dad, adjust me. Dad, adjust me. All right, so and I feel like first of all, I'm honored just to talk to you guys. I feel like I am a student. I'm talking to these guys. I don't know anything, right? I'm like open for 2 months, a little more than that. But it is a big deal. Everybody raise their hand if they want to open their own practice. I don't think you guys realize, you know, what it takes to open up your own practice, because was it like 10% of people open up their own practice, right? And the reason why I did it, or we did it, right, because it wasn't I, trust me, it was me and my wife. My wife's a huge part of it, is I had 100% certainty that it was going to work. And the only reason why I had that is because I was with Tess, right? I saw how it works. I went to Dr. Michael's office. I hit the streets in Stockbridge, Georgia, setting up talks at all black facilities, and they're like, get out of here, boy, and all this other stuff, right? I did all that stuff in advance so that I would know how to handle rejection, right? How to communicate things to people that didn't want to hear it, right? How to, you know, reach over those objections and be able to get to the people, because I'm going to talk about a few different families and kids I take care of. I guarantee you, if you just open your doors and expect a mom to bring in her newborn to you, you're crazy, right? These are like maybe one person, you know, they saw an amazing chiropractor and they moved or something else and they're looking for a pediatric chiropractor. Yeah, there's different ways you can market yourself to reach those people too. But most of the time, you know, they're going to test you out first, right? Before, because you guys have kids here? You guys have kids? Nobody? A couple people, right? I graduated with like 100, yeah, you have to feed us somewhere. I graduated, my class at Palmer was like 130-ish people, I can't remember exactly. And I think I would have trust my son with maybe 3 of them, right? And so I'm sure you guys can think yourself, like, if I had a little baby, would I trust them with the person sitting next to you? And most people would say, heck no, I wouldn't unless somebody was going to wail on my son, right? I'm a very specific adjuster. I check people, and I explain this to parents, and I'm going to get into a little bit what I say in my doctor's report when I address kids, and how there's a huge difference between getting checked and getting adjusted, and how that relates to kids. Not just wailing on kids, right? It's very specific. It's like feeling the pressure of an avocado or testing the ripeness of a tomato. I use my pink, I do demonstrations, I do all this different stuff to reach those kids. You can go to the next slide. So, first of all, this kid gets stuck in my park bench. Okay, this kid, Bentley's his name. He does have legs. Okay? Right down here. He's 2. His sister's 3. She has really bad seizures, right? She was in Seattle, what's the name of that fancy hospital in Seattle? Seattle Children's Hospital is a really famous hospital or whatever. And like once a month, they were having to take her there because she's, having grand mal seizures all the time, right? And so I actually met their family at this kids event where I was doing a screening, and they had this huge bouncy house, and people were running around like crazy, and I had a sign that said, didn't even say seizures on it. It said like ADHD and different things that I could help with. And this mom stopped and said, "Who are you and what the heck are you doing?" Right? She's very matter of fact, this lady. And I was like, "I'm a chiropractor. I see kids. I have specialties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." I go through this whole verbiage. She's like, "I'm gonna give you a shot or whatever." So we come in, do the doctor's report, the whole thing. We use this Insight Millennium subluxation station in our office. You guys know what that is? Subluxation station. It's just a scan, infrared thermography. We also use surface EMG, but usually just on adults, not on a kid. And so we're able to objectively see what's going on with those kids. What are you going to do? Tell a parent, ask a 1-year-old where it hurts, right? It's not going to work, right? Plus then you're showing that you're a pain clinic, and that's a whole other road that you don't want to go down. We're able to see exactly and show the parents visually what's going on with their kids. Get a really good idea clinically on how long it's going to take to get pregnant and all that stuff. And so I've been seeing, I see him, he's got no problems, he's fantastic. His loves get adjusted. Now the girl, the first day she came in for her first adjustment, guess what she did? No, she didn't have a seizure. That would be a really cool story. No, she did not have a seizure. She screamed her head off, right? She did not want me to touch her at all. So what are you going to do if a kid starts screaming their head off, saying, I'm scared, Mommy, please, he's going to hurt me, he's going to hurt me, he's going to hurt me, right? What are you going to do? Yeah, and so I would have no idea if I was in these other offices that are seeing a bunch of kids. So you've got to have some experience. You don't have kids yourself, right, which I did. So I was able to, I had a kid when I was in 6th try at Palmer, which was crazy. And I missed a bunch of school. I don't know how I still got 4.0 that trimester, guess, or whatever. But so she comes in and she's screaming her head off. And so you have to have, you have to be able to convince the parent, number one, that it's okay, which I've already done. She was fine with it. And the kid, right, you have to be very skilled in your adjusting. And to be honest with you, how you adjust or the technique that you use is really not that important. Now, is it important to be specific and to give great care? Yes. But if you can't get the freaking people in your office in the first place, what does it matter if you're C.S. Gonstead, right, or Michael Viscarelli, a.k.a. Jay Holder, they got the same beard or whatever. Yeah, going on. So anyways, I adjust this girl. She cries the whole time, comes back, and then the next visit, she says totally different and says that she wants to have her birthday party. So it was really cool. And I've been adjusting her, and she has not had any seizures. Okay, you guys get poor girl seizures. Okay, so this girl here, her name is, I just drew a blank on her name. Oh, her name's Anne, and she severe ADHD. So I see a lot of ADHD kids in my office, right? And what I use is an infrared thermometer, and I check their Atlas bosses, right? And so hers is way off. Her mom, speaking about getting people under care and how much it costs you, do not judge the book by the cover, right? It'll blow your mind who's going to pay for care and who's not. I got people with Dolce & Gabbana handbags and all this other stuff that say they can't afford it. And her mom is a single mom that's going to school with no job. She's on food stamps, and she paid for her and her daughter to be under care. Right? It's not how much money you have, it's what you value, right? And so we build value in the chiropractic care. And if you think like Stockbridge is 50,000, that's incredible. But where I'm at is less than that. The average income. I'm in an apple capital of the world, right? It's an orchard area. There's the elite, and then there's they literally have migrant tent villages, right? And so that brings it like way down. Anyways, she's been doing so much better. I just had a report. She just had a report card, and best grade she's ever gotten. Right? She's doing all this amazing stuff, and her mom is just, beside herself, and she's telling everybody in town that her daughter and their goal, right, and my goal for all these kids is to get them off their drugs. We can go to the next slide. See who we got next. Isaac, he is 6 years old. Okay, he's a monster. He's gotta be almost 5 feet tall. Anyways, he has the worst ADHD you've ever seen in your life. He has to be doing something for you, and I let him check me here and let him adjust me too. That's what you want to call it. But so his mom came in, and he couldn't even come to the my whole doctor report, explain what I do, how it works, very passionate about it. And she said, I sat her down the report of findings. He also wetted the bed every single night, got all these issues. And I showed her his x-rays and did all this stuff. And she said, and I don't even know what nationality she was in. She's got a little bit of a language where she goes, I don't know anything about chiropractic. Crap, I just taught you for 45 minutes. Because I don't know anything about chiropractic, but I trust you. I'm paying for him up front. She gave me like $1,000 or not. I don't remember how much she gave me. She's like, here's a check for $800. Fix my son. And so that's a big level of trust to be able to convey to somebody in 45 minutes of talking. I don't even talk for 45. My wife talks for like 15 minutes. I talk for like 30 minutes. So I adjust him. You can go to the next slide. So one thing you can do, man, my wife took a terrible picture. So I finally let him adjust me. Let me adjust you. And he like talks that way. Let me adjust you. And he can't even so I let him and his brother, they put me on the table and jumped on top of, and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. His mom loved it. And he loves coming to the office. He runs around, swipes his card like 20 times. If you know what platinum is, every time you're running like an appointment. So his mom gets all worried every time he does that. But you have to involve the kids, right? And so have something for them. I check their behind the ears, their atlas fossils. So have a bunch of them, right? I have this little kid that I take care of, and he's already doing better. And I have to give him 3 of them, so he'll let me check him, right? So if he's like juggling through these things, then I can check him fast enough. Otherwise, he goes like this and holds on for dear life and won't let me touch him, right? So you have to get the kids involved. Then they'll absolutely love you. Go to the next one. So this is just a couple pictures of our office, our facility. So so we went all in, right? I did not hold anything back. I knew I was going to be successful. I took out a bunch of money in loans, right? We made this awesome office. My wife designed the whole thing. This is like reclaimed wood that she did white, this fancy lettering, and this tin, and all this crazy stuff. And our office looks really cool, right? And I thought, and Dr. Michael might talk about this a little bit. I want to see Dr. Michael's office. I'm like those people. I was like taking pictures, do this like video thing, like the entire office. You know how many times I've watched that? Like maybe half. I've never even rewatched it, right? Because it really doesn't matter, right? You can have the Taj Mahal of chiropractic, and if you can't get the people in there, then you're never going to be able to be successful. Right? And so I leveraged myself big time, right? And it is, looking back now, right, it's risky, right? What if you fail? Like, what if you don't see 160 people in your first week? What if you don't collect? I think I collected like 20,000 my first week, right? I was cash flow positive, and these guys did all these statistics stuff in like 3 days, right? Most small businesses, first of all, most small businesses fail. Most chiropractic offices fail, and I was able to generate income and be able to pay some of my bills in like 3 days in practice. And I collected like 40 grand my first month because I knew how to get the people from the streets and down. We had a ribbon cutting. And I made 56 appointments at my ribbon cutting. Right? The Jumpstart program goes in how to do all that stuff. And so it was super successful. In my town, I'm not in a big city at all. I'm not in Denver, Dallas, or Atlanta. I'm in Wenatchee, which is 40,000 people. It's in a valley. There's nothing else around there, right? There's a few small farm towns that funnel into there, like a couple thousand people. So you could say my maximum reach is maybe 60,000, and that you're talking about a couple of hours away. there's 29 chiropractors in Wenatchee. There's like 10 more on the other side of the river. So there's like almost 40 chiropractors for 40,000 people. And I had, right when I came to town, this radio lady wanted to barter with me, and that's a really long story. The boss of the radio thing, I don't know if you guys know about body posture and the psychology stuff behind it. But I'm sitting down, right? I still remember this guy. I want to punch him in the face. And he's sitting, it's a little tall, but he's sitting up like this, like in the power position, right? Looking right down at me. And I'm like telling him how I want to do this and that. This is how it's going to work. And I literally just went around and told exactly what I was going to do to everybody. And he goes, I'll never forget this. Should have taken a picture. He goes, he looked at me right now and he goes, I know you're not from around here, but that's not going to work in this town. And I was like, excuse me? And I was like, I wanted to punch him right in the face. And I was like, what do you mean it's not going to work in this town? He goes, what you're talking about there, having people come in a bunch of times, not come in just when they're hurting, seeing that's not going to work in this town. Like he's a sheriff of the Wild Wild West or something. Like, in this town. And I was like, and I said, I had the confidence to come right back at him, and I was like, no, that is exactly what's going to work in this town. It's exactly what this town needs. It's exactly what the people in this community need. They don't need a pain chiropractic clinic. They need a corrective chiropractic clinic that's going to fix the underlying cause of people's problems. They don't have them. And he just kind of sat back, and I was still in the weaker position. I was lower, which pissed me off. But I felt like I was way above him, right? Looking down at him now, and I actually got the radio barter, and I got a bunch of commercials for free, which was fantastic. So you go to the next slide. This is that's a really bad picture. So we had our first dinner with the doc. You guys know what dinner with the doc is? We went to quite a few, 3 or 4 at your office. Right?
Take a second, explain dinner with the doc.
Okay, dinner with the doc is just literally what it is it's a way for current practice members, number one, to bless them with a free meal, right? Because you want to support them, you want to thank them for being in your office. This is like the fanciest place in Wenatchee to go to. Okay? It's a steakhouse, right? And I don't think it's really good at all, but it's the best place in Wenatchee. People think it's like a really fancy thing to go there. And so we invited current practice members, and then they bring a guest, right? We give them free meals for everybody. I spent $1,500 on this dinner. I had 59 people at my first dinner, and 40 of them were guests. Okay, so that's really good. And I just talked for about 15 minutes about chiropractic. It's really hard to see. This is a black lady with dreadlocks. She's a worship leader at my church. I started seeing her. She had these terrible migraines. She would throw up. She couldn't run. She's like a marathon runner. Had to run. She's a little crazy because she was running at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's like addicted to running because that's the only time she could run and not get a headache. And I started adjusting her and fixed her atlas and all this stuff. And she doesn't have migraines anymore. She literally walks around town. I have multiple people that just literally walk around town handing out business cards and common assessment cards that literally changed her life, right? So now she can run. She's telling the story about how she never believe me and thought I was full of it, basically, and how the first thing she did was go out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and run like 15 miles to test me out. No headaches, no headaches. She was from Africa. So we did this dinner with the doc, and of like the 40 guests, okay, 28 of them signed up for care in our office, and like, I can't remember what I told you, Dr. Michael, the other day, 12 or 13 of them paid in full for their care. So I spent $1,500 on the dinner. It was actually like $1,400 something. And I in that next week I made back like $20,000. Not that much. That's bad math. Between X-rays, that's Cairo. Be like $10,000 the next week, right? And that's going to just keep going. And then a lot of their families got under care. So it was wildly successful. We have our next dinner on Monday. And we have another, it's maxed out at 6, right? We can't seat any more people. We have it full again, right? We had to turn people last night, which was really cool. Can you go to the next one? It's the last one. So this is just where I do my doctor's reports. Okay, what a doctor's report is a group report of findings, if you will, where I go over chiropractic, health, and healing, what I'm looking for on the x-rays, how this thing's going to work, right? How it takes commitment, all that stuff. Got this huge A&S chart that's really fancy with this wood, this fluffy stuff that my wife likes, all that stuff. And so we get all these people in this doctor's report. Seriously, it's like burlap sack. I don't understand it. I didn't design 1 inch of my office, not 1 inch. There's actually a pole in my office. office because I was like the leftover space, and I like to sit in there. Okay, so anyways, I thought I'd share how much time I got there, Jay? 12 minutes.
You're good.
So I'll just kind of share. So in my doctor's report, when I kind of address kids and that sort of thing, so Nicole, that was the girl I was talking about. And so I just get done talking about the x-rays and what I'm looking for, how they're going to be able to make a decision. And it gets kind of a little bit serious. And then I say, okay, now I'm going to back up. I need to explain why I do what I do. Why do I do these talks that nobody likes to come to? Because there's usually a couple people that don't want to do this. Right? That's why I get them a little uncomfortable. I said, why do I do these talks that nobody wants to come to? Why am I a chiropractor? Why am I one at you? Why am I doing these dinners? Why am I at these events? Why am I at the Gold Show in Cadre? Why do I do all these things that chiropractors usually shouldn't go to and not just be like everybody else? And I think there's a lot more to life and a lot more to chiropractic than just getting people out of their aches and pains. As important as that is, and trust me, that is important. I want to get you out of your aches and pains. There's a lot more to life than that, right? Everybody here, I'll treat you guys like your practice members. Everybody here, everybody went at you, they have gifts, they have talents, they have something they can do in this life that's really great. So my job is to alleviate as many health conditions as I possibly can. So however many years you have left to live on this life and this earth, you can live it to the full abundant life. That's why we name our office that. So normally people give me a standing ovation when I say that. But you guys didn't. Okay, that's fine. But in our office, we don't accept everybody as a practice member here. And the reason why we don't do that is because my reputation depends on my results, and my results depend on people following my recommendations. If you don't come to your appointments, you're not going to get better. If you don't follow through, you're not going to get the results that you want. So some people, they just try it out. One little baby toe in the water. I like this speech. His wife's good looking. Whatever the case, I'm going to get a couple of adjustments, see if I feel better. Come back in 2 months with the same problem over and over again. And I very politely tell those people not to even start at all because it's going to be a waste of your money because you're not going to feel a little better. You're not going to get your problem corrected. You're on this never-ending cycle. Get adjusted a few times. Come back in a month. I'm literally describing the other offices in my town. Come back in a month, same problem, do it again. Come back, same problem, do it again. I just got done talking about insurance and not there to be healthy. That's really good for billing insurance and it's really bad for getting your problem correct. So I don't do that in this office. Okay? So it is a commitment. It takes a commitment. It's a 50-50 proposition. I can't do it all. Second thing, and this is when I get into the kids, is we're very passionate about what we do here. It's very important to us. We're always looking for new and better ways to reach more people. And the reason why that is because every single day somebody comes in this office, like I'm taking care of this little girl, Nicole. That's the girl I shared with us reading the book. And when she was 5 years old, she was put on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. Okay, 5 years old when she started kindergarten. Okay. She came in here when she was 12. She got a blank stare in her face, all these emotional and family problems, and she also had birth trauma. And when she was pulled out of the birth canal, it really affected her upper neck. She needed chemical reactions in her brain. Okay, and her mom was sitting in this room right over here, bawling her eyes out, saying, "If I would have known this, then I would have made a much different choice for my daughter, myself, my family." So until people stop telling me that, I'm not going to stop the push to see and help more people in this office. Okay? Hope that's okay with you. And the last thing is we're a family office. My son's here a lot. Okay? He's 2 years old. He's crazy. He jumps off stuff. He breaks stuff. Okay? The other night, and this is a true story, we had 3 kids over here, 2 here that are literally throwing things in the air, causing this big disruption. If you really have awesome offices, you should have child care during your PDR so this doesn't happen. But it works well for my PDR. And so I say, I don't encourage bad behavior, but I do encourage those families to be here because it's my opinion that those kids and those families that are in the most need my help the most, more than an 80-year-old trying to shave 2 strokes off her golf game. Okay? So we literally accept everyone that wants to be healthy. I don't care if you're rich, you're poor, you stink, your race, the color of your skin. I don't care. If you want to be healthy, you can be in this office, and we bend over backwards financially and time-wise and everything else to help those people. So that's what we do in this office. Those are the requirements, and we won't accept you if you don't fit those requirements. Okay? Then I go into time, and I respect their time. There's no more speeches, and I tell a few jokes because I just got pretty serious. Right? Everybody just got quiet because I was pretty serious. But it is really serious to me because I do want to see those kids. Do you think that sparks thoughts in those parents' mind that maybe I should get my kid checked, right? Maybe this kid, yeah. Some people think of me as a kid, right? Maybe this kid really cares about my kid. I cannot tell you how many times I said that. I go back into a reporter finding room, and some mom starts crying saying, "My son has autism." Right? My kid, what's the better? My whatever has whatever. and they've been holding that in, and nobody ever gave them a chance to really express, what they really had going on in their lives, right? It's crazy, if those of you that are not parents, there's parents out there that are suffering mentally because their kids are so sick, and they're always thinking about how they can help their kids. So you have to give them an avenue, an out, right? And I hope you guys understand the out for them is chiropractic care, right? If you can take the pressure off the nerves, those kids heal and recover over time, every single time. And I always end up with a funny, and I say, I love it. I stole this from Dr. Jeremy. I love adjusting kids because number one, they never talk back to me. Number two, they get better really, really fast. And I tell Isaac's story. There's so many, if a kid's 11 years old and they wet the bed every night, they think they're going to grow out of it. And some people freaking shake their head, yes, it blows my mind. It's like, no, they're not going to grow out of it. That's a problem, okay? Like Isaac taking her, wet the bed every night, and if he stopped wetting the bed in 2 adjustments. Do you think that's a big deal to that family? Yeah. You think they spend more money on laundry detergent than they do on chiropractic care? Yeah, so you think that's a big deal? So we are always pushing to get those kids checked. It's so important to get those kids checked. I just hammer those kids all the time. Kids. And people get annoyed at me asking about the kids. I don't give a crap, okay? Because those kids need to get checked. You got parents, people in general, the public, probably you guys too, do not understand how detrimental a vertebral subluxation complex is to your health. Okay, until you see a kid that has seizures, and Dr. Mike could tell an amazing story about this. Until you see a kid that has seizures, and you do an adjustment on the atlas, and they don't have seizures anymore, you're not going to understand how detrimental that is to health. So I never scare somebody into care, and I go out of my way to not do it. Probably to my own detriment. I probably lost people because I will never scare somebody, but I give them hope. I work really, really, really hard to give people hope that they can have a better future, a drug-free future for their kids. Because I tell them, just like Dr. J does, that my son, he's 2 years old, he's literally never had anything, okay? And he's not some special thing, right? Yeah, he's got amazing genes because of me and my wife, but he's no different than any other kid, right? I mean, doesn't have to, you don't have to take all those drugs, and people just don't understand. Right? They have never, and nobody's ever told them that they don't have to do that. It would blow your mind how many parents think that you have to take a drug or something. Pretty much all I have to say.
That's
I
awesome.
kind of got long-winded. So Dr. Zeus is going to come up next. This guy, number one, he's a better football player than I ever was. Yeah, so I played football in college. Dr. Zeus was a professional football player. I'll tell you about that.
Raiders.
No, he played for the Cowboys. We just talked about it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he's got 2 offices. I really do. I look up to him. Right? He is such a powerful speaker and inspirational. I learned a lot from Dr. So I'm up here talking stuff. 5 years ago, if you would have seen me talking in front of a person, you would have just laughed at me, right? My wife always tells the story. We took an English class together in college, and I gave a speech about chiropractic. I literally couldn't talk. About 2 minutes in, my mouth just seized up from cotton. Okay? Now, so some of you are probably afraid to speak in front of people, right? And you'd be amazed how God can turn weaknesses into strengths. Right? And He totally did that for me. And so if you're afraid to talk in front of people, go somewhere and just start talking in front of people. Go down to the freaking beach and start busking or whatever it's called. Do something where you have to go get in front of some people and get scared, right? Because the more times you get scared, the less you're going to get scared with your own practice. Work that out on people in Stockbridge, not here. All right.
That's awesome.
Give it up, Dr. Jake. So why are we in here talking to you guys tonight when we could be at the beach? Like Jake and I could be doing push-ups and sit-ups, right? Just read that slide for me, Nicole, please. Just read it for me, out loud.
Why getting prepared now as a student so important for your future practice?
Because you want to be like Dr. Jake.
That's right.
Straight out the gate. Bottom line, you want to be like Dr. Jake. You don't want to start like I started. You do not want to start slow. I look at Dr. Jake, and I remember seeing him at the conferences, and he was always there. And then we had to leave our practice one time to go sit in the Hess's practice because we were stuck and we didn't want to know what to do. And he was there. I'm like, on it! Damn! Man, I should have did that. Go ahead and hit that next slide for me. So when I was in school, Mike will tell you, I met Michael in sixth quarter. Michael changed my life. Today, I always tell people chiropractic is taking me places I never thought I would go. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I grew up kind of rough. I grew up really rough, and today I was introduced to gelato. Saw the post, right? Now, there's a lot of gelato places in Dallas, Texas.
You didn't want to try it, man.
I did not want to try it. I was very skeptical, like the practice members. And I tried it, and I'm lactose intolerant. And it didn't, you know, it didn't do me like ice cream. And I like, y'all got Bluebell here in California, Bluebell ice cream? No? But it tells me up. But, you know, I tried it. It was different, you know. So, you know, things like that is very important to me because it's outside of things I would normally do. So I met Michael in sixth quarter, and he introduced me to Principal Chiropractic. Changed our life. I mean, we live a great life. There's so many more levels to hit, but you know, we're here, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for Dr. Hess, and I'm thankful to be in front of y'all. Y'all just don't know. I'm ready to party. So this was me. I was the dude that trying to figure out what technique. I knew nothing about chiropractic. I was playing professional football, year and a half. I was making good money. Bought a house. They cut me. I was like, what am I gonna do? I got in a car accident. Met this chiropractor. He told me that he made $200,000 working 2.5 days a week. I figured I could make double that if I work 5. I'm telling you, talk about my website, that same story. So I came to chiropractic school, didn't know what it was about. Met Michael, met Dr. Hess, but I didn't pursue it the way Jake did. I did pursue it the way Michael did it. And you know, I did Gonstead. Your technique, like he said, it's important, but it's not important. Because guess what I do today? I was in practice doing Gonstead for 2 years, and I do TRT. So that tells you how important it is. After I spent all of this money, all of these weekend seminars, going to all of these conferences, trying to learn the technique, trying to figure out my way, what I was going to do, how to make people healthy, I switched it. So fear, you know, Dr. Michael talked about fear. Dr. Hess touched on it a little bit. Dr. Jake touched on it. Fear is false evidence appearing real, right? So I told you that I signed a contract to go with a company in Colorado Springs called 100% Chiropractic. I'm gonna put it out there for you, right? So I go to this company, move to Colorado, and this is what I see. I see mountains with snow, and it's cold, and I don't like snow. And Michael's in Colorado, they love it, but I don't like it like that. I like it, I appreciate it now, but you know, I was afraid because I wasn't prepared. So I just jumped up, took my family across the country, 2 cars, 24-hour drive, and went to Colorado. And I got there and I figured, man, this is not what I want to do. This is not for me. This is not for me. So I didn't sign a contract. I lost all of this money because I had to, you know, go through attorneys and stuff to get out of the contract, and I moved to Dallas. But guess what? I'm still unprepared. So when I get to Dallas, we get to this beautiful office. I'm going to show you in a second. And, you know, we start doing events and screenings. Who here has ever did a spinal screening?
Okay.
That's good.
Just one side of the room.
So one side of the room. So if you don't know what a screen is, I'm going to go in a little bit into screening and how to communicate through the screen, to talk to people at a screen. So, so a spinal screening is how you get people. Initially, a lot of us is what we do to get momentum going to get people into your practice, right? So you set up a booth. You got a table. You have a chair. Some of us, we have TVs. We have a substation. Who knows what a substation is? A substation, a myovision, thermal. You guys know what that is? No? Yeah. Okay. Some of y'all? Substation. All right. So we have posters. We have tables, chairs, right? So then people in the community, they're just walking by, and one of the things that we like to say is, you know, to catch their attention, would you like to see what we're doing here? And people, a lot of times, they say, no. Well, what are you doing? Well, we're doing health evaluations of your head, neck, and back. It's different than saying, hey, we're checking for subluxation, because then, like, if I didn't know what subluxation was, if I was in a chiropractor, you say, hey, I'm checking for subluxation. I'm like, subluxation? What? Get out of here. So that's what we do. So then they sit down, and we give them a health survey sheet. And after they fill it out, we're still talking to people. And when they fill it out, they're like, here, I'm done. And we just talk to them about what's going on. And, we're not giving them a subluxation speech or a nervous system speech about the parasympathetic and sympathetic. We're just being very, very realistic and very personable, right? So a lot of times, Bartan, I would be like, hey, I see that you've been having headaches. How long have you been having those headaches?
3 days a week, like 2 years.
Wow, 3 days a week for about 2 years. How's that affecting your personal life?
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bartan, what do you do about it? Do you take anything for it?
No, I've tried going to the DO, been to the MD. No one can really do anything.
So no one's solving their problem.
No.
Okay. So then I would kind of explain a little bit about the way I do it, and I'll do it nice and quickly. I don't want to bore you, but I'd be like, so what I want to do is just assess your nervous system. So a lot of us use a subluxation station at our screenings. Well, me, I'm more hands-on. I used to be, when I played football, I was a strong safety, a DB, so I used to hit people. And then back in the hood, I was a fighter. No joke. So I like to touch. So I would go ahead on and I would palpate his neck, right, real quick. And you feel that right there, Bartan?
Yeah.
That's where those headaches are coming from. Yeah. Do you know what? So I would get on my spine and I would say, this nerve right here, right? This nerve goes to your head and protects your immune system, and it causes headaches. If this bone pinches that nerve, you're going to get what? You're going to get a headache. And I would take the spine and I would turn it, right? Now, you can take a Tylenol, you can get a massage, you can even go ahead and do exercise and stretch. Is that going to move that bone into proper position? No. Bartan, and I will point at it like this. Bartan, what do you think we need to do to get that bone off that nerve?
We gotta move it.
We got to move it. And then when we move it, what do you think is going to happen to those headaches?
They're gonna go away.
They're going to go away. Do you want those headaches to go away, Bartan?
Yes.
Great. Let me tell you what we're doing here today. Today we're blessing the entire community to come into our office for a nervous system evaluation. You see that TV there with that with all of those colors on here? That's what our evaluation is, and we're going to give you that today. It's normally $150. We're going to give you that for $20. Okay. So what's a good day for you to come see us, Bartan?
This Wednesday.
Wednesday? Great. Morning, afternoon on Wednesday?
Morning.
Morning? I can do morning 10 or 11. Which one works best for you, Bartan?
Let's do 10:30.
10:30. Great. Now, Bartan, let me tell you, we're a very, very busy office. We take care of a lot of people in this community. Are you sure 10:30 is the best time for you?
Yeah.
Great. Now, I want to make sure that Bartan values what I'm doing with him today. So I'm going to make him pay the $20 today. So how you want to take care of that, Bartan? Credit, cash, or check?
Do cash money.
Cash? Great, sweet. While I'm writing his appointment down, you can go ahead and get that cash out for me. And I'll write down on a card, and we give him a health certificate. It has our office. We have 2 offices. I would ask him, is the Dallas or the DeSoto location better for you?
Dallas.
Great, sweet. I'll write that down. I'll be giving the health certificate. It has all of our information, and it's like a receipt. And I'll say, hey, man, I'm so looking forward to helping you with those headaches. I can't wait to see you on Wednesday at 10:30. Okay? So that's what we do at a spinal screening. Who think you can communicate that like that? That's good. That's good. So how many of you have never heard that before? A lot of you? Okay. So that's what we do at a spinal screening. So guess what? When I was in school with Michael, he used to always ask me to come to this. This was my boy. He was one of my partners that I sit by in class and I joke around with. But for some reason, I still can't tell you today why I did not go. I don't know, man. I was like, man, why is this white dude always trying to get me to come hang out with him that much? I tell you, ask my wife. I was like, man, they're trying to use me for my time. I was so silly. I was so closed-minded. Just like with the gelato, I didn't want to try the gelato, and I opened my mind. I should have opened my mind when I was in school, and I would have had a faster start. So I wasn't there. So all of you guys need to be plugging into these local docs and trying to do as many spinal screenings as you can. Okay, so then we moved to Dallas, right, from Colorado after we got out of the contract. It cost me, I lost almost 30 G's on this too, seriously. So I get this big old office, I signed a lease. People thought I was nuts. I'm still nuts. Every month when I cut a check, thank God I cut a check without a problem with it, but it's now it's about $4,500 a month. When we first signed the lease, it's about $4,000, right? So every year it kind of goes up. It's under 5 years. 2 more years, I'm getting out of that location, that particular location. I'm staying in the area, I'm getting out of that location. Signed a $4,000 lease. I was unprepared. I didn't even, when I got out of school into this practice, I wasn't communicating the screening message like that. This was my office, my first day. I had 2 new practice members. I had 2. It's not funny, right? But I'm serious. I had 2 new practice members.
Laughing then.
We did a screening the weekend before and signed up 21 people, and I was like, yeah! And we had like 15 scheduled for that Monday, and 2 showed. 2. $4,000 rent. That's just rent. That's not water, gas, utilities, internet, phone. I remember talking to Mike when he's like, hey, bud, how many of you guys seen? I was like, yeah, man, we saw 15 this week. He got quiet on me. He was like, yeah, that was good. You remember that conversation? And I was excited, but it wasn't nothing. It couldn't pay anything. A couple months into practice, we had no cell phones. Imagine that. We had $192 in negative in the bank, and the only reason we got home that night because we had $40 in petty cash. Raise your hand if you want to live like that. No, that's why you're here tonight. That's why. How many of you got to school? 500? 500, 500 at LACC?
Yeah.
And we got what? We don't have that tonight. That's why you want to be here. That's why we're here. So, you roll or get rolled over.
That's good.
No, that's real life. So I started rolling with the Giants. You know, I started rolling with the Giants. I went to school with this dude, but he's a giant. He's a mover. I'm a client. I'm a client. I sat next to him. I played around. I joked, and now I have to call him still to this day. Michael, what you think about this? And sometimes I gotta wait long periods of time because there's a long list of people that's calling Michael. But I have to wait. I have to wait because we're not longer equal. He did what he prepared, he got ready, and he separated from the rest of us, from the rest of the profession. All right? Jake is going to doing the same thing. Dr. has been doing it for 15 years. It took him a couple of years, but they're doing it, right? So you roll and get rolled over. So you better roll. I'm telling you, it's real out here. It is real. And I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to light a match up under your ASS. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm here to do. So I started rolling with them, and it took me some time. I'm still learning, man. I'm still learning. There's things that I'm learning about my team, and we're growing and we're growing. We open our second. All right, so like our first practice, right, it took us like 9 months to get 70 new ones. We opened up a second practice in DeSoto, Texas, and we had like 65, 67 kids. So guess what I did? I humbled myself, and I got in the Jump Start program. I'm already into practice, but I said, you know what? This is literally what I told them at the Denver conference. I saw all these dudes doing it. I'm like, man, give me some of that action. Give me some of that. I know I can do it. Now I know more. I'm more prepared. I'm doing it again. I took 42 G's cash and I did it again. And we're doing it. We up in that new office. We've been open. I think this week was the end of the 7 week. It means the 7 to 8 week, and it's up to 150 a week. Now, different from Jake, well, I'm running the practice, and now I have another one, right? So imagine how much harder that is. It's hard. It ain't easy. So, roll with the Giants, man. Roll with the Giants. So, filling the seats, man. Filling the seats. We just talked about screenings. That's pictures of people from the Life Amp Club in Atlanta, Georgia, and then the one on the other side is Parker. So now I get to mentor a lot of the Parker students because it's only me and another doc in Dallas that's rolling with the Giants. So now the students, they think I'm a giant. I'm buff and stuff, but getting to that level, so we get to mentor them. So how do you feel your seats? I just talked about doing the spinal screenings of the events. It's not just spinal screen. We really call them health events, just an event. If there's 2 or more people, I'll bring a table, a chair, a TV. I'll bring the substation because a lot of the students, my wife like to use it. Remember, I like to touch. We're gonna bring our signs, our posters, and we're gonna rock and roll, and we're gonna get people in those seats, so we don't get rolled over, right? Right. So another thing we do is dinner with the doc, and Dr. Jake just touched on the dinner with the doc. Now I'm gonna tell you, I remember calling Michael months ago, and he sat on the phone for like 15 minutes and told me everything he said at the dinner with the doc. I recorded him. He didn't know it, but I recorded him. And I recorded him. So yeah, you get to hear that now. I recorded him. Now we don't have to record him because a part of one of the programs they created, literally they give they dinner with the doc. And, a lot of us we just made it our own, and they didn't have to do the hard work I did. But I recorded it, and I went to the dinner. Cost me like $1,000. We had like 40-something people there. Half of them became practice members. Probably made $10,000 off it within the next week, and that's what we do. So you think right now you think you can get 40 people, 40 practice members and their guests to come to a dinner that you're going to pay for, right? Raise your hand. How many? 2. I'm glad the rest of y'all being honest with yourself. You walked in here and started talking to us, so I believe you. I believe you. Getting 35. We did 2 dinners in the last 2 weeks. The first dinner had 59 people. More than half were guests, and probably 75% were guests. And then 3 weeks later, last week, we did another dinner, and there was 35 people there. We had 70 people RSVP. 35 was there. So if you think it's easy, it's not. So who's going to teach you how to do a dinner? I can go over a little bit of verbiage. They can go over a little bit of verbiage, but who's going to teach you how to do that? You got to learn from somebody. You got to learn from the giants. You got to learn from the people who are constantly doing this in community. So guess what? Dinners is one of the ways that we're growing up our practices. So guess what? This Tuesday, I'm having another dinner. I don't do my dinner a lot on Mondays because when football season started up, I had a dinner and it cost me $1,000 and 10 people were there. So that was an average of $100 a head. And I said, man, what the hell happened? It was Monday Night Football and the Cowboys were playing. That was so dumb of me. That was in practice being unprepared. So guess what? We have another dinner this week. And I'll let you know. You follow me on Facebook, I'm going to post it. I'm going to post pictures. Look, this is dinner. I'll tell you how many people there and I'll tell you how many guests. So, but that's one of the things you do. So you have to be able to communicate people coming to the dinner. So we meet people at the screening. If they don't, book an appointment, then we'll call them and invite them to the dinner. We'll call them and invite them to the dinner. And, we ask them to bring a guest. And we bring our current practice members, they bring their guests to the dinner. So that's one of the ways how we feel the dinner with the doc. So then we started doing all of this stuff here, mentoring the students. They want to learn. They get prepared. So you have to become a servant to get prepared. How are you going to do that? Raise your hand right now if you listen to what I'm saying, and I'm telling you I'm telling you for real. I'm telling you from a person who, together in both of our practices, we see over 400, right, together, right, in both practices. And that's a slow start. Jake's going to be seeing 400 soon, right? But it's okay. It's okay because if you can get there, but you don't want to get there. Why do that and go slow and move like a turtle if you don't have to? So right now, what are you going to do? How many of you thinking, man, I know exactly what I'm going to do to become a servant so I can get prepared for success like Dr. Jake and Dr. Michael did? Yeah, what are you going to do?
Continue to stay principled, roll with the Giants.
Roll with the Giants.
Learn from those that have had success.
Yeah, who you rolling with, big dog?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you better. But seriously.
And DE.
If you ain't, look, You better roll with somebody. You better roll with the people who are doing it. So get your mind right, buckle down, realize what these people in the community need you. They need you. When a woman come in a wheelchair and you help her walk, right? You didn't heal her, but her body healed her, but you removed the interference. They need you. When someone with multiple sclerosis comes in and they've been to every specialist in the city of Dallas and they paid all of this money and they come to you and you help them within 3 to 4 months, they need you. So get your mind together. Realize that you need to roll with giants. Whoever that giant may be. I'm not telling you that you need to call Michael or you need to call me, but you need to roll with people that's doing things that you want to do so you can be prepared when you get out of school. Listen, I'm not here to scare you, man. I'm really trying to, I don't want your phone to get cut off. So I for being here. And Dr. Michael is going to come up and share with you. Dr. Michael, like he said, saw over 1,300 his first year in practice. Dr. Michael is the catalyst for a lot of us across the country living our life's purposes in chiropractic and taking our families on amazing vacations and just doing everything because he put in the time and he invested in us and he saw that the profession needed people like us. So Dr. Michael is going to come up and share and give him a round of applause because he's amazing.
Man, Zeus, I appreciate you so much, man. And, you know, one thing that I've always loved about Zeus is he's honest. You know what I mean? And he's very transparent. You know, Zeus always talks about how we helped him be successful in practice. Personally, for myself, Zeus has widened my perspectives and opened my mind, and I know Jeremy's and Jake's already, of where people come from. One of the first things that Zeus and I were participating in together, to give you guys a little bit of history, was that we were in the student clinic together. So, you know, you guys got to adjust to the other students, right? So that's, you know, we all reverse each other's curves, or our cervical spine, through rotary brakes and shearing facet joints. And then you live a miserable life of sickness and disease because of it. But then you go on to outpatient clinic, right? Well, Dr. Zeus and I, everyone told me he's like a mover and shaker. He's the alpha male. He's gonna be super successful. He's the guy, right? So we get into a student clinic, and I'm like, man, I made a decision, right? We're in grad school, right, guys? We can be honest. This is a safe place, right? In this room, it's safe because we're all congruent, right? We love chiropractic, right? We love health. We hate drugs. Medical doctors are losers. They're a bunch of ass clowns. And they're not. Actually, I believe that there's a place for drugs and surgery in our world. I absolutely do. I really do. And if we think that there isn't, we're freaking ignorant. There's an absolute place for drugs and surgery, but it was responsibly made to be a last option, last choice, right? But unfortunately, it's the first move, so that's where we come in to reverse that paradigm. So when I was in school, we start out with student clinic together, and I made a decision that the time had stopped for vacations and spring breaks. Okay? I mean, come on, we're freaking adults, you know? So, I mean, it's like I have people miss things that we're doing or miss opportunities in chiropractic, miss opportunities to be successful because they're going on their spring break. Get the hell out of here. We're not kids. I mean, how many freaking times do you go on spring break? Vacation. I'll tell you what's nice is when you go on vacation and you drop down cash on that vacation, do whatever the hell you want, wherever you want to go. You talk about going to Italy for his 40th, doing whatever you want, bring your entire family. Zeus, whenever he travels with us, brings his whole family, his entourage. It's like pro athletes, right? They bring like 14, 15 other black people. And they all go. Tearing stuff up, ripping up hotels, and I'm just like, so anyway, we sat together in student clinic. He was on one side of the student clinic, I'm on the other side. We chose to do things somewhat together, right? We believe in a synergistic effect. So this is just a short story. So we were, it's always short stories. I will absolutely finish 0 stories tonight, okay? Because I suffer from a significant amount of adult onset attention deficit disorder. High volume. So this, so we're going through student clinic. We're seeing a bunch of people. I don't know what you have to see. What do we have to see, Zeus, in like first quarter student clinic? 15 people? 15 adjustments our first quarter?
Yeah, you had to have like 15 adjustments.
15 adjustments, couple physicals, that's it, right? Before school started back from break, I had 38 adjustments, right? Because I started all these people. I was preparing for when I was going to get in there. So I was like recruiting people and going to classrooms and talking to people and telling them I was going to start a clinic. Zeus did the same. By the end of student clinic, they told us that the original record of like most visits seen in 6 months of student clinic, somewhere in like 285, 290 visits. We both did it in that first 3 months. Zeus finished almost 500. I finished 683 adjustments in 6 months. Why? Because it's preparation phase. This is practice. This is practice for practice, right on. You get your hands on people. You need to find out how to talk to tick. DE is amazing. It teaches the principle of chiropractic. You need to find procedures to reach people and provide for people, right? One thing that I love about people like Chris and so many other people in this room is that it's all a bunch of young bucks doing it, right? This is not the Mercedes 80s. Like when I went to DE, there was a couple of young bucks in there that were like, I was like, holy cow, they're kind of young. You know what I mean? Then there's like Kuzno and all these like freaking awesome like veteran chiropractors, right? Sigfus is there. I mean, like all these guys at that time. And then you saw a couple of these guys that were like young and they were like movers and shakers. Now they're some of the biggest names in chiropractic today, right? Right? We want to be those big names together. Because if we really think that we're going to make a change, we have to start in school. And we believe in raising healthy practice rather than resurrecting dead chiropractors. Right? So it has to start while you're in school. It has to start while you're in school. But I invited Zeus one time while we're there. This has nothing to do with my talk. I really asked him to come to a retreat that I organized with a bunch of students for whitewater rafting in Tennessee on the Ocoee River, which was part of the Olympic Trail or Olympic River for whitewater rafting, kayaking, all these things. Back in '96 or whatever, in the Olympics. And he's like, he's always like, why is this guy being so nice to me? What's his ulterior motives? And Dr. Jake just said back there, he's like, actually, 100% chiropractic have ulterior motives, right? I want us to be successful together. Like that's all I care about is us being successful. Because you guys sucking makes me look like I suck, and I don't suck. You suck. So he says, he's like, I'll come up there. First thing he says, he comes around this bonfire we're having, and he goes, listen, guys. Everybody, thank you, people like, who's this dude? And he goes, listen. He goes, don't mess with me. I don't go in the woods. My people do not go in the woods. He called me like the night before. Goes, what do you wear? I was like, dude, I like jeans and like sneakers and stuff. I was like, what are you sleeping? Like, I'm serious. And he goes, don't mess with me, don't play like there's animals out here, because I know there's bears and tigers and all this sort of stuff. He goes, I got a gun. He goes, I got a gun. I'm serious, you had a gun?
I did have a gun.
Yeah, in the national forest, which is illegal. And then he goes, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. That man stood up at that bonfire that night after we had done a few activities and had fun, just chit-chatting, and shared about not judging people, not looking at TV and seeing that like somebody got arrested for drugs or got arrested for armed robbery or whatever, and said, man, that guy's a grown man. He should know better. Because when his daddy did it, and all of his cousins, all his brothers, and grew up out there watching that happen, that's what they know. So when you're serving people, never judge them. Love them. And he was, see great success. And he said that at that bonfire. I'll never freaking forget it. Because I was that guy saying, look at this idiot. Up there, his pants around his ankles and like robbing a McDonald's. You know what I mean? You're like, he's like, don't judge that person, man. His daddy probably did that. His brothers probably do that. You know what I mean? That's what he knows. So in chiropractic, you're going to serve a lot of different types of people, and you want to walk in a way that you don't judge people. You love them to what you have. Lead them there. Okay? And I would think that that'd be far more effective for your life and for their life. So let me start my talk. So this guy walks in the bar. He sees this guy sitting at the bar, and he has this box and this lamp. I just shared this with you guys, so don't judge me for sharing this again, but it's freaking hilarious. And he walks over and goes, man, what's in that box? And he says, I'll show you. Pulls the lid off, pulls out this little teeny grand piano and sets it down the bar. Pulls out this little piano bench that's right there next to the piano. And then this little teeny man crawls out of the box, sits down, and plays this beautiful song on the piano. He goes, man, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? And he slides in the lamp. So he goes, rub it. This guy rubs the lamp. And all of a sudden the bar starts filling up with 1,000,000 ducks. He goes, what the hell? He goes, I ain't asked for 1,000,000 ducks. He goes, "You think I asked for a 10-inch pianist?" It's freaking funny. When it comes to a cash practice, you need to be very clear in your message and what you're asking for and what you're communicating. Okay? Because you may end up with a 10-inch pianist when you really wanted something else. I love that freaking joke. So here's the deal. We built a cash practice with a 10-inch pianist. And so when we moved out to Golden, Colorado, we decided to do something completely different. We decided to walk in total excellence, communicating a very, very clear and specific message with consistency from start to finish. And we knew in chiropractic that would make us an anomaly. Isn't that unfortunate? Isn't it scary, the fact that just because we have a clear message and we're super confident in that message, and we're clear in communicating that to the public, and then we walk in 100% excellence 100% of the time, loving people, educating people, guiding people to the finish line? Isn't that sad that makes us unique? Isn't that sad that that sets me so far apart from anyone in my community, which in my community in Golden, Colorado, per capita, has more chiropractors than any other town in the entire state of Colorado. And being the largest chiropractic health center in the state of Colorado makes me one of the largest in the country and probably the world. Why? Because it's super competitive. Everyone and their brother's like, oh, Colorado's so healthy. They're into natural health. Oh, yoga and all this sort of crap. You know what they think? They think going into a salt cave or an infrared spa or going into hyperbaric chambers or all these different things, all those different things is what gets them well. Some lady told me the other day, she gets under care a couple months ago, and she's doing great. She's doing great. She told me that she has more energy in her life than she can ever imagine. She was right from the first adjustment. She said, Dr. Michael, you told me that I would sleep extremely well after that adjustment, have phenomenal energy the next day, and to expect it. And she says, you know what? It's never stopped. It's been like a constant high. I'm getting so much done. I feel so amazing. So yesterday she comes into quick care. That makes sense, right? That makes perfect sense. That's an objection. How do you address those objections? I told her, get the hell out. That's not what I told her. So she comes in, right? She wants a quick care. She tells my team member, who's doing the financial consultation with her, and says to her, this doesn't make any sense, Miss Janet. You haven't even made it to your first reassessment. You're doing very, very well. You've made great progress. And she goes, yeah, I just know my body. She goes, my body's 100% healed. And she goes, I thank you for that, but I'm done. I'm not going to get any better. And she goes, actually, you will continue to get better because there's been multiple studies done against torque release technique by the medical profession to prove an MMI, maximum medical improvement. And their studies have not been able to prove that, which indicates that people are going to get better and better and better over time. And when you're getting better and better and better, you know what you're not getting? Worse, worse, and worse. You know why? Because statistically and through scientific research, it shows that stress is going to constantly bombard your life through physical, emotional, and chemical stress, and that's going to cause a degenerative process in your life. So if we're keeping you going this way instead of this way, you're going to continually heal and perform at your fullest potential. You need chiropractic care. That's my team member standing in the gap. That's not me. I'd have kicked that girl right in the mons pubis when I walked in that room. I'm telling you what. Feeling like stupid. You know what I mean? Like, we've helped you reach these goals and you're going to quit? You know what I mean? See, because I believe, and you need to start believing in this, that subluxation kills. Subluxation kills. It doesn't necessarily always kill overnight, but it kills. If you don't believe that, get out. Get out. Go be a freaking physical therapist. Go do something else. Because we need more people that believe that subluxation kills and is willing to stand in the gap and in the face of the opposition, which you are, because everyone thinks that they've tried chiropractic, or that chiropractic can't help them, or because they don't have back pain, they're not a candidate. How do you take them from there to here? And then paying for care out of pocket, right? Despite whether they get 40 visits at a $6 copay through the United Healthcare benefit package. How do you do it? We all think, I know that we think, because I mean, I thought this in school, but I assure you that I was fully prepared to think that in school. Proof's in the pudding. You know what I mean? When Dr. Jake says, man, he went all in on his location, he did. Why? Because he knew he was going to deliver. My wife, when I put everything on the line, And then we dwindled our account from $45,000 down to $200 the weekend before we were opening. And she goes, Michael, she goes, and I brought people out to help me open it that we had trained for years. And she goes, Michael, we only have $200 to feed them the whole weekend. I said, that's great, give it to me. And so she gives it to me. And I went out and I booked an event for $400. I told her, I'm going to give you $200 today, and then I'm going to book so many people through the event, I will pay that money back. And I told Tara, I was like, we'll have plenty of money to eat over the weekend. We're going to put butts in seats. She looked at me and she's like, I believe you. Let's do it. You need to have the support of whoever you're with. Okay? You need to have that support. You need to have, I mean, my wife is 100% support 100% of the time. To a fault. And to a fault where she takes the back seat a lot of times behind chiropractic. But she's on the mission. Right? And I make it up to her. I make it up to her. I was gonna cue a sexual comment there, and I filtered it. That's a victory. I love you, babe. That's a total victory. She'll be so proud of me. So technically, I don't have a filter. That's a fact. So you need to be able to communicate those sort of things. You need to have the support of your spouse, and you need to go all in if you can deliver. If you can deliver. A lot of people are like, man, I can deliver. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But when 60% of the profession is 3 months from bankruptcy, even the ones that are pretending that they're not, and when less than 10% of the student population coming out of school is not going to open their own practice, and if we're going to cause a shift in chiropractic, we don't need to join broken practices. We need to create good, healthy ones from the start. Now, let's make something very, very clear. This is going to give you a very big glimpse of my heart. My goal for being, I guess, a mentor to other people or walking with people through their chiropractic journey and experience, being just a couple years out of school, they call me the student guardian, right? People have been calling me that, and it's because I love students, because I'm not very far removed. I freaking love students. I love students. I love the fact that you guys have the opportunity to write your destiny right before you, right now. You can. You're here tonight. It's Friday night. Plenty of things you can be doing. I thought about skipping it. I saw all kinds of stuff to do tonight. I was like, I'm not going to go. Tell them I got the squirts. That's what I said. So, Jake, sorry to go. So, my heart is this. As a chiropractor, our goal is to do what for that person? Unlock their what? Healing potential, right? So that they can be their fullest expression of what? Themselves, of life, right? Well, my goal for my community is that. My bigger goal for my profession is to help unlock each and every one of your inborn potentials to be 100% successful through the big idea of chiropractic, right? Because I'll tell you this. To set yourself apart from chiropractic, less is more. Do less and you'll see more. You don't need to fluff up the principle. The principle of chiropractic is best served naked. 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 You should write that down. One thing that I used to do that people used to say, they don't watch me. I fill up notebooks with information that I read over my life. I read out crap and I read over the good stuff. Sometimes you just have to hit delete on some things. You can delete whatever the hell I want to say. I mean, whatever I say, that's fine with me. But it's what resonates with you. When I used to sit in his team meetings, right? Some of you guys, I had friends that I'm like, man, how are your team meetings going? He's like, I don't know how to do a team meeting. I was like, how don't you know how to do a freaking team meeting? Right? Team is the hardest thing in practice. I freaking assure you. It's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. He's got a team, Dr. Jeremy has, with women on that team for over 10 years. That is unheard of in chiropractic. What they say, there was a Georgia Chiropractic Council, something about like they were doing these team training things and stuff like that. And they said, or team CA certifications, all that stuff. And they said, why'd you cut that program out? They're like, because none of them had the same teams the next year when they came back around. What the hell did it matter if we kept trying to train them? There's such a turnover of team members. Because chiropractors are retarded when it comes to freaking chiropractic procedures and entrepreneurial sense. We're horrible at it. It's sad. It's embarrassing. When we started AMP, which is a program, it's a mastermind. It's a mastermind where we're all coming together, a bunch of young people just freaking mastermind, just going over things and addressing objections, getting prepared, answering questions for one another, and sharing creative ideas. We went to this consulting program to help us develop the platform for it. It's a $55 million consulting program that I care for, the CEO of it. And when we went down to sit down, he's like, man, I love what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing. This practice is unbelievable, right? We're in 2,400 square feet. It's an end unit. It's 3-side glass with panoramic views of the mountains, right? Concrete floors, reclaimed metals and rusted metals, reclaimed barnwood beams, exposed rafters, like restoration hardware decor. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm desensitized to it. Sometimes I walk around and just pray, like, God, just open my eyes to this. Help me be grateful all the time. Don't let me grow desensitized. Because people come in, they're like, they almost don't even know what to say. They're like, yeah, cool. Hey, thanks. Yeah. How big's your eval room? And I'm like, what does that matter? I'll send you the blueprints. Ask me something that's going to help you be successful. It doesn't matter what size my eval room is. You know what I mean? So we have this beautiful practice. And he says, man, I love this place. And I said, I got some ideas. I want to start a chiropractic university. One that's founded on the principle, one that delivers entrepreneurial sense to people so that they can take that principle to the masses and do it in such a manner that it gains respect in our communities. And he goes, yeah, that won't work. It was too much politics. There's accreditation issues. I said, well, then I want to do an online university. I started talking to Jeremy about it. I said, I want to reach people and come on to a platform. He goes, now that's a good idea. He goes, let's take that in front of our team. And let's present that to them. I said, well, they come on, they can learn, they can break things down, right? We went in front of their team, and they said they didn't want to do it. You know why? He goes, great. They go, great concept. Chiropractors are broke. There's no one out there that could pay for this. He goes, if you were in dentistry, you could. PT, you could, but not chiropractic. He goes, we used to have some social media marketing thing, and he said, he goes, and we had to, it used to be like $2,000 for people to pay out of pocket to do the social media marketing thing. And he said, and we had to do it for $500 for chiropractors. And he goes, and they still default. Does that not embarrass anybody in here? I mean, it's freaking embarrassing. You spend a lot of money on your education. I don't spend a lot of money on my education. I don't spend all that time, that heartache, those defeats, those losses, to overcome those, to come back out and be subservient to some other freaking loser that I have to listen to that says that whether they'll refer to us or not. No, we walk in an authority so that when people say, well, my medical doctor told me that I shouldn't be here, I say, well, I care for many medical doctors in this practice, and they get phenomenal results under care, and it's your choice, it's your life, it's your health, and your health is your #1 asset in life. Take control of it. And it commands response and action because we do it in love, right? We do it in love. And so to build a cash practice, you have to be able to communicate the message with just supreme education, very clear. Most cases are this. A confused consumer does not buy. You should write that down. A confused consumer does not buy. We create the confusion or we create the clarity. Does that make sense? Right? A confused consumer does not buy. And you're not buying something, screw the PowerPoint. We're not going to cue anything, okay? So listen, if we have a confusing message, somebody will not buy. It's that simple. But it's not like you're like walking to the store and you're like, man, I'm going to get this sweet V-neck t-shirt, right? It's not like that, right? You know,